So Mercedes have new updates for Silverstone and are ready for the British Grand Prix. So in today's video, we're going to be going through three main updates, so make sure you like this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. But we'll get into the first one. So the changes which have to be notified to the FIA before the cars are allowed to run on track include revised front suspension, side pod vanes, floor, rear wings, and bib wing tweaks. On the front suspension, Mercedes has added volume to the pushrod and rear leg components where they meet the chassis. The team explained the reason for this tweak was to downwash the flow local to the chassis side to help shed a vortex, which then goes on to improve flow underneath the floor. Mercedes has repositioned the vanes on the side of the chassis ahead of the side pod, which helps improve the flow quality into the radiator duct and deliver improved cooling performance. It has also increased floor edge wing slot forward, as well as increased the camber of the forward position, both of which are aimed at lifting forward floor load. There has also been small camber change to the forward floor fence to increase the pressure delta across it. This increases floor load and also improves flow to the diffuser. So I think the changes that they have made is honestly amazing, and it's great that they have made these changes before the British Grand Prix. Now another change focused on improving flow quality under the floor and is a revised bib wing. At the back of the car, the W13 features a reprofiled rear wing tip to reduce camber, which is track specific and targeted with reducing drag without shedding too much downforce. Speaking ahead of the weekend, George Russel said he hoped for the changes would be enough to put Mercedes on a par with Red Bull and Ferrari, because as you all know, Mercedes has been struggling, especially against Red Bull and Ferrari. They haven't been able to keep up, so I think it's great to see that they are making adjustments and making those fixes. Having struggled on a greasy, bumpy surface, the smooth Silverstone venue should play better to the way the team's best performance appears to be delivered when the car runs very close to the ground. I think this high-speed nature of Silverstone, a smooth surface, will definitely play a part in our hand a bit more than it does in previous three events, said George Russell. But still, there's no guarantee, because as I've said before, every race we go into, we're sort of unlocking a different issue from the car. But we have a relative faith that this will be a more competitive weekend for us, not only with upgrades, but just with the nature of the circuit. So when it comes to all of this, it does set them up for a great future. And are they going to be able to produce what they are in the British Grand Prix? And I think that's something a lot of people do want to know. Now, it obviously has raised a lot of expectations because Mercedes have made it known they're making their upgrades and they're bringing a new beast to W13. Is it enough, however, for the British Grand Prix? So with the Brackley base squad feeling, it is finally making some progress in unlocking the potential of the W13. The team has scheduled some development for the car for the next race at Silverstone, but while the smooth nature of the Northamptonshire track could be especially good for the team, its technical director Mike Elliott remains cautious and is eager to keep expectations in check that it can soon start challenging Red Bull and Ferrari. And I think this is a big case, especially for Mercedes fans. I know a lot of us do want to see Mercedes do well and be back on top, but it will take some time and they are going to be making adjustments as time goes on. And I think Mike Elliott just wants to make it known to keep everyone having realistic expectations, because they're not going to go to the number one team in just a matter of a couple of Grand Prix. It is going to take some time, but at least they're moving in the right direction. Now, speaking of Mercedes' regular post-race video analysis after Canada, Elliott said about the team's British Grand Prix hopes, "One thing you can be sure of is we will push this as hard as we can." And I do see that with what they are doing when it comes to these upgrades. You see they are really throwing everything at the wall and are trying their best to really give them a car for George Russell and Lewis Hamilton that can be competitive against Ferrari and Red Bull. We'll be bringing new bits to Silverstone. We'll be trying to push the car forward, trying to get some pace from the car, and from the package we've got, as well as the new bits we are going to add to it. I think at the same time though, we have to be honest with ourselves and say that at the moment we are just a little bit behind those front runners in Ferrari and Red Bull. And in a normal race, I think it's going to be tough. Now, a lot of people have been thinking Lewis Hamilton is slowing down or George Russell isn't what he claimed out to be, but the drivers can only do so much if the vehicle isn't at the standard that Red Bull and Ferrari are. We can definitely see Red Bull push further and further into the Constructors Championship, and really do damage. So I think it is going to be interesting how this all plays out. Now, Mercedes has made a breakthrough in dialing out its porpoising issue with changes introduced at the Spanish Grand Prix. However, it has found that in order to have the best performance from its car, it needs to run very low to the ground, which has proved troublesome at bumpy tracks. But despite feeling that Silverstone should be better than recent races, it does not expect things to be dramatically different. I think Silverstone will be a circuit that suits us a little bit better, like Barcelona did, but maybe it will just be a little bit difficult, added Elliott. Whatever happens, we will push as hard as we can. Our drivers will push as hard as we can because we want to go back to winning. We want to win for the team. We definitely want to win, and we want to win for you, the fans. So let's see what happens. And I absolutely love that for Mercedes. You know, they are looking out for us as Mercedes fans and are doing the best they can in order for Mercedes to be competitive. There was hardly a soul driving around in the Silverstone's main gate and over the bridge into the infield very early on Thursday morning. Come the weekend, though, it will be very different. With a record 400,000 fans expected to pack into the place over 3 days, in many ways, it was a calm before the potential storm, but on track rather than in the sky. Ahead of the season, there was hope Ferrari would join the title fight this year and make it a three-way fight between Red Bull and also Mercedes, and they held up their end of the bargain for reigning world champions Mercedes to drop back. So it is very surprising to see how Mercedes has been going on as of lately. It really hasn't been, the outcome we have wanted as Mercedes fans, but hopefully it does get easier from here. So on top of this, the 7-time world champion teammate Lewis Hamilton added, "It's always nice having upgrades. The amount of incredible work that goes on in the background is overwhelming and phenomenal to see. People are delivering, and it's always a big push to bring those components under the current circumstance. I'm very proud of everyone, very grateful, and I hope it comes out on track." The favorites, though, are Red Bull, winners of the last 6 events and carrying the kind of momentum they last showed back in 2013 when Milton actually, based outfit won their 4th double championship on the bounce. So, it is looking like Red Bull is going to take this. However, Mercedes can always still be in the podium and be a part of the glory. So like I've said time and time again, we have seen Lewis Hamilton, and the reason why he is very frustrated is because his car is not up to par. Now, Lewis Hamilton coming from the top and seeing it absolutely slowed down for him, especially due to issues with the car, is really difficult to see. And I think it is only going to get more frustrating if there's no changes that are made. And I think it's great that Mercedes have taken it on their shoulder to really give this everything they got for the British Grand Prix. I think what also means a lot for the British Grand Prix is also Lewis Hamilton being from there. So obviously this is his hometown, and he doesn't want to actually, upset any of his fans, or at least wants to go pretty well in this Grand Prix. Obviously, if you are racing in your hometown, there is a little bit of sentimental value, and you do want to do the best and represent, your country for what you have done. So I think it is very important for Lewis Hamilton to get the car that he really wants for this race. I know they have been working hard. You probably have seen the stacks and stacks of Facebook videos, YouTube shorts, whatever you find your social media on, and you've probably seen all those videos with Lewis Hamilton in the office, really working with the team on how they can solve this issue. So there is a lot of issues that is coming up. Now, the British Grand Prix, looking by the map, so obviously the course is a very difficult course. There are 2 DRS zones, which is really, really interesting to see. And obviously section 5 to section 6 is actually DRS zone 1. And then we have section 14 all the way to section 15, which is a DR zone 2. So when it comes to this, the length of the actual Silverstone circuit is actually 5.891 kilometers to be exact. It is 52 laps and a race distance of 306.332 kilometers. So when it comes to this race, it also has 18 corners, so it's a lot of twists and turvies, and I think this is where we can really see Mercedes shine and really do what's best. Now, when it comes to this actual course, the most successful team is actually Ferrari, who's had 13 wins, but the most successful driver is your man Lewis Hamilton, Hamilton, and he has been performing very, very well in this course or this British Grand Prix or circuit, whatever you want to call it, with 6 wins. So he actually has 6 wins, and the lap record is actually set by Lewis Hamilton himself in 2019 with a minute 27. And obviously what he has achieved in the British Grand Prix is honestly amazing. So, you know, Lewis Hamilton does not want to let that slide. He wants to keep performing at his best and continue to do what he does best. But when it comes to the circuit, very twisty and turvy, and I do think it is going to be a challenge, especially for Mercedes, to really get their car up to par. But I do think it's great. Like we heard from Mike Elliott, he is pushing the boundaries and he's going to give this everything he's got. I feel like we're at that point in the season where that has to happen. We're all about taking risks when it comes to Mercedes. It's about taking risks, and you know, that's the only way they can actually come out on top at the end of all this. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Peace.